All right.
Ready?
Yep, I'm ready. It
This still says off air on my side.
says live here,
Okay. Oh,
up
probably because
corner.
it's the one recording. Oh, there it goes. Okay. It's switched. All right. So we are week 2, co-mentor meeting 2.0. All
Yep.
right. First of all, how do you say this word of what we're supposed to call our group?
Oh, the triumphant? Is it
Tri
that?
triumph
Triumph.
triumvirate? I don't
Triumph.
know.
Virate. I don't know.
I don't know how to say that word.
I always thought it was triumphant, but
Mm,
I don't know.
I don't know how to say it. Okay.
All
So,
right. So
did
it's
you make
saying,
your survey?
um, I thought we were just supposed to
Basically,
compare
we
the.
are, yeah. So, I was confused because it says in the directions to answer the questions about your coworker. So, I picked coworker first, but they didn't seem to be related at all. So, I switched to the supervisor one.
Mhm.
What did you do?
I did the 360. Let me see here.
The
360
360
degree
degree.
employee evaluation template.
Yeah, and the first question says like, who do you want to evaluate? Supervisor,
Right.
coworker. So I first did coworker, but none of the questions I could really like relate them at all to
To
the
the
LPI.
LPI.
So I switched to the leader, and even then, I guess maybe that's the point that they're, at least in my opinion, to compare and contrast them. I thought the survey questions were specific to like a job title or a job function of somebody that's a leader versus the LPI observer were really about like actual leaders, like people that want to like develop their people and be effective and all that stuff. Whereas the questions for the survey were like, how often are they on time? Things like that.
Yeah, so I'm in the coworker one right now, and it says, "How easy is it to get help from from your supervisor when you want?" And then I just don't understand how the LPI even relates. Like I was having a hard time even like
I was too.
finding a relation to the two. They're just so different from one another. Like even the LPI, they're just statements instead of questions. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. No, I definitely had the same observation. So,
sets of like they just for example on the number one LPI it just says sets a personal example of what he or she expects of others.
uh-huh.
Um, so I guess maybe it's just because it's in a question format in one and the other one is not.
Yeah, that's definitely obvious. And part of the reason I was so confused when I was like actually preparing for this because like I wasn't even sure I was doing the right thing because it didn't make any
Right.
sense that they were like related in any way, in my opinion. So I guess, I guess maybe that's just the whole point. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing the point completely, but
I think maybe these are just too, you know, they're specific to what, like you said, they're specific to what they're looking for, and then on one, this other one, this LPI is definitely related to the book, right? So there's model the way, encourage the heart,
yeah.
inspires a shared vision, which is stuff we've all read about. Um,
Yeah.
and this other one is just like, I guess I'm sure if we dissected it even more, we'd probably be able to make some connections. Um,
Yeah. I guess
improve your performance after getting feedback from your supervisor about work. That could probably be like a shared vision type.
is that an LPI
The one I just read,
or is that on the survey?
it's on the survey on the coworker one. How improved, or maybe it's the supervisor one. It says, "How improved is your performance after getting feedback from your supervisor about your work?"
Oh, that one
So
must be about yourself because I think there were 3 versions of this survey.
maybe that is,
I
I don't
guess
know.
even if you did, yeah, if you did like yourself, and compared that to the LPI, I guess from my perspective, if I'm comparing the self version of the survey to the LPI observer stuff, I would answer differently than I would about a colleague, because my goal is to be a leader, and I don't know that everybody else's is necessarily.
Right, exactly.
And I think something that may be, I guess, relatively obvious, for lack of a better word, would be the survey is, like I said earlier, is about very much like a manager or like a role, like a job title, like a boss.
Mm-hmm.
LPI stuff is since it is from the book and from the authors of the book, it's specific to the 5 behaviors of effective leadership, which isn't always a title or a job or position.
Yeah, read a question. I'm gonna just try and see if we can relate it to an LPI statement.
Okay. All right.
So it says, how often does your supervisor give you feedback about your work? Now I'm back on the LPI.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so encouraging the heart is recognizing contributions by showing appreciation for individual excellence. That kind of is similar.
Is that a commitment that you read, or was that a LPI?
That was it was one of the commitments. Number 9, if you go down the commitments.
Actively listens to diverse points of view. No. Oh, you're on commitments.
Yeah, sorry. And it's number 9 down the list, and it's encourage the heart is the thing, and then it's number 15. Yeah, 15. Makes sure that people are creatively rewarded for their contributions to the success of project.
We've got another one up there that is behavior is, where was that? Encourage the heart, and the 9th commitment, and that one is,
oh, I see it.
People for a job well done. So it looks like, at least with the LPI stuff, sometimes the commitment and the behavior match. Oh, there's another one down here too. I wonder what that really means.
Do you feel like that's an important attribute of your leaders? Like if they give you praise and stuff, or throw you down every once in a while?
Yeah, I think I wrote about that in, what did I write that in? Maybe the worksheet from last week? I did, yeah, it was in my worksheet from last week. It's always nice, of course, to be recognized for the work that you do, especially when, at my job, I'm drowning all the time. So I make more mistakes than I typically would if I had an ample amount of time to do things right. So,
or like a manageable workload.
Yeah, right. And I definitely don't, which is now seeping into school too. But when you get like a job well done, whatever your company does to do that, motivates me to keep pushing forward, even though I'm completely drowning in work.
Yeah.
So I think my workload or my production at least gets better when I'm like, okay, they're actually paying attention to me. I'm doing a good job, and they're seeing that. So what do you think?
Yeah, my boss is kind of like he's kind of like my friend. I think I mentioned this in the last video. And so he's not like your normal professional boss, you know?
Okay, yeah.
So when he throws you a bone, you know he means it, but he doesn't do it often.
Yeah. That kind of makes it even more though, because it's
he makes up for it in other ways. Like he'll give me really good raises, or he'll give me I don't know how you guys if you guys have a performance review every year.
Yeah, we do.
He always gives me a really high performance review, and it's not necessarily because we're friends, but it's because I really work hard, you know, and I'm his team lead. So I think he rewards me in other ways, but he's not one to be like, you're doing a really good job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He doesn't really do that.
Yeah.
He's like a guy, you know, he just doesn't, I don't know if that makes sense, but he's like macho, I guess. He doesn't really do that kind of stuff. But I
Yeah,
know he appreciates my work.
yeah, for sure. I guess
All right.
it definitely depends on like I'm trying to use the word constituents more because it told us not to use the word subordinates.
Oh,
It's
really?
what we've used in like every other class I've ever had.
Class. Yeah, I know. They were in every single. Who told you that?
It was in our reading or something. I read it somewhere in this.
I've always felt weird about that. Like,
I know it is weird to
I
say.
try to avoid that at all costs, or followers too. It's like,
Yeah, I guess followers is better than subordinates at least. I also
direct
say
reports. That's
we
that's
say
what you
direct
say.
report. Yeah, direct
That's a
report.
good one.
But yeah, it depends on the person. I think like when I had I think I told you guys about my really bad boss that I had there for a while. He used to like pull us into a room and give us like feedback, which was really just I really didn't like the way you did this kind of things.
Really
And at one point I said like, okay, you pull me into this room enough. Every time you pull me into this room, I'm going to challenge you to tell me something good,
good.
something that I did well that you liked, and then you can give me the bad news if you wanted. So he was cool with that, which I guess is like almost part of one of these LPIs was like ask for feedback on how they can be better or something.
Okay.
I can't remember which one it was. Ask for feedback on how his or her actions affect other people's performance. Well, that's not really the right one, but anyway, I felt comfortable enough at that point to say, like, hey, you keep giving me all this feedback. I need to tell you as a leader that I need this as your constituent.
Right. I need some good with the bad.
Right. Yeah. We eventually worked through that, but
What was that? That was challenge. Was that challenge the process? Oh no, model the way.
yeah. Where was that one? I lost it again.
It's number 16.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Model the way, set an example.
By aligning actions with shared values. I think at the end of the day, like your boss and you have the same goal, right? You guys are working towards that same goal, whatever it is, whatever your job is.
Yeah.
Um, and you know, the people that work for you or whatever, it's like you really have to like invest in them. You know what I mean? You can't just like
Yeah.
put them down.
No, for sure. For sure.
At my job, like I'm a team lead, and it's so weird how they do it there. They do a democratic election, um, so they just put out like, okay, we're going to need a team lead for this area, and um, whoever wants to run can run. And so you put your name in the hat, and then you write like why you want to be a team lead or whatever.
Wow.
And then everybody that is your peer votes on who they want, and it's kind of a weird process. It's like definitely like a popularity contest in a way, but
Yeah.
it as a team lead, it kind of sucks too because if I say go get to work, you know what I mean? Like they're going to be
Yeah.
mad. And so I guess you really have to use these like effective leadership behaviors and is like a foundation if you want to like maintain it, especially in my
Yeah.
job. You have to like treat people with respect all the time. Like you can't ever, you can be firm, but you can't like disrespect them. You can't talk down to them.
Right.
You can't do any of those things because it's such a fragile position. You know, at any moment they could vote you out.
You can get like impeached.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's
If they all like get
crazy.
together, they just all have to like write to HR like, "Hey, he's not cutting it. We need a new team lead or whatever."
How long have you been a team lead?
This is my second year.
Wow. So are you enjoying it?
I enjoy it, and also it comes with a 10% raise.
Oh, that's what I was gonna ask. You get
Yeah,
like
yeah. So I mean, the
loyalty.
money's good. The money's worth it. Um, but like, you have to like really like as a manager, they're in that spot. Like they can't be knocked down because someone doesn't like them, right?
Right.
Um, unless it's their boss that doesn't like them, I guess. But for me, it's like the people that I have to work with every day. I have to like really. It's like a almost like a walking on eggshells kind of a thing. You have to really navigate. how
Yeah.
you
Do you have
approach.
issues ever? Like anything like get uncomfortable for you or
Um, I have, but you, like I said, you just have to really, you have to like make it better. You know what I mean? You have to like fix the problem. The
yeah.
conflict can't go into a point of where you just can't talk to the person anymore. You know what I mean?
Right,
'Cause
yeah.
that doesn't help.
Gotta work through it.
Right, exactly.
No pressure then, I guess, huh?
Yeah,
All right. What do you say we move into some of these other questions?
I'm down.
All right. I hope we answered that one enough. Okay.
I
Okay, I
think it
guess
was the
we,
definitions, right?
what'd you say?
Was it the definitions or
Oh gosh, definitions. I don't see that. The values?
my,
Oh, I'm
yeah,
sorry. You're right. I
my,
see that now.
my 5 most important values and their definitions.
Oh gosh. All right. So I guess I don't know I guess I can look at definitions. I didn't Google anything. Um,
Do you want me to start and then you can?
did you do this? Like fill it out?
I just kind of quickly did it. Yeah,
Oh, look at you.
this is the
All right.
most prepared part I have prepared right here.
Okay. I prepared the first one. Okay, go for it.
All right, honest. I I feel like that's an important value to me.
Yep.
That's free of deceit or someone who is sincere, basically. Um, I feel like if you have a leader that if you get caught in a lie as a leader, you're done. You know what I
Yep.
mean? No one's going to ever respect you. They're not going to believe you.
Yep.
Um, it's just a bad road to go down. And that kind of goes into modeling the way. Like you don't want people to feel that way about you. You want them to trust you.
Right.
Um, and my next one is respectful.
Yeah, I'm trying to jot mine down right now, and that was the first one that came to mind.
Oh crap! I took yours.
No, it's fine. I had honesty too, so don't worry about it.
All right, so that is feeling of admiration elicited by abilities, qualities, and achievements. And that kind of, I feel like that's a fine line that can be crossed too. Like if you make a mistake, then all of a sudden people lose respect for you. I don't know about in your company, but like in aerospace, it's very, very cutthroat. Like,
Really?
yeah, I mean, you're just surrounded by engineers and really smart,
Oh yeah.
super smart people that are
Yeah.
like, you know, like, you know, good at math and can figure out this and that. So like you have to be your abilities. You have to prove your abilities in different ways. You know, like you have to know your job. You have to be able to prove that you can do your job and provide a quality product. And so all of those things lead to respect from your peers and your coworkers. The second one is competent, and that kind of leads into like just knowing your stuff.
Yeah, I know that was something that you mentioned last week too. Was that like that's something that you were nervous about being a leader is the competency and people
Yeah,
viewing you as competent. So
yeah. I mean, like, just like I said, I mean, those engineers expect you to know your job. You know what I mean? They write like
hmm
this part has to be this big, and you cannot go over this much, and if it is, then the plane's going to crash. And so
yeah,
like you have to know what you're doing, and you have to be able to be a confident person if you're going to do that job. My next one is ethical,
yeah, that's a good one.
and that is having moral principles, making the right decisions for the right reasons. Someone at work kind of put it in a really good way. He said, you can judge a person by what they do when no one's looking, like the
Yep.
type of person they are. And that's pretty true.
Yeah, it is.
And then the next one is friendly. I feel like you have, especially as a lead, you have to be friendly, you have to be respectful to people, but you have to also make sure that you're not being a pushover at the same time, you know?
Yeah.
because then you're just getting taken advantage of, and that's not good.
So I guess I find it interesting that you put that there specifically because you were just talking about your boss and that you guys are like better friends and really kind of, it sounded like a leader follower situation.
Right. Yeah.
Is that like the kind of leader you want to be?
No,
No, you don't.
I don't. I feel like he gets a lot of crap for trying to be people's friends more than he tries to be their boss.
Yeah,
that's
I
one
can
of
imagine.
that's things that I hear from other people, and he is a good boss, and he like will stand up for his people.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like sometimes that gets him into the little hot water. Like if he is somebody's friend, but then he has to try and tell them what to do, you know?
Yeah.
That can
Does he
lead
do
to
that
problems.
with all of the people on your team, or just you because you're the team lead?
I think that's a big part of it, but he does it to the people that work really, really hard.
Mm.
So it almost is like he singles out the people that don't necessarily work very hard, which is probably another bad attribute.
Yeah, perhaps.
Yeah. So, yeah. I think that you can be friendly, but you can still like draw that line.
Yeah. Well, so I was jotting these down. For me, I will try to define them in some capacity, but I included balance in mine, which I don't necessarily know if it's a value, but I think it kind of speaks to a few different things that I was thinking was balance in being a friend and being a leader, definitely, because
Okay.
I had both. The supervisor I had right before the job that I have now, we were friendly, but like I still respected him as a supervisor because the one that I had before him was the really bad one.
Mm-hmm.
That like it was just anyway. So the the day that I switched jobs, we were like friends. It was like really weird, as if he was like
Right.
waiting for me not to be on his team anymore so that we could just like be friends because we both wanted to be, but it was just like weird. I don't know. So a balance between that, but also someone that understands like a work-life balance and not just say that they understand a work-life balance.
They prove it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like really, really understand. Of course, within reason. There are people, that really abuse the system all the time. But
Do you guys get like encouraged to work overtime a lot?
no, I don't. I don't. Not at least in my position. But we have non-optional overtime at my company. We've got optional, but we also have non-optional, which is usually like up to 10 hours a week. Some of
Okay.
our areas, like some of our claims areas, have that. Um, but so my position, I'm in workforce management, and not my direct responsibility, but the people around me is kind of identifying the need for overtime. So like I hear the conversations of like, okay, they have to work 10 hours this week. And it's just like, that sucks.
Yeah.
So it sucks to have to enforce that. And everybody hates workforce management. So that part kind of stinks too. But I like the department. But that's also because I'm not workforce managed, probably,
Okay.
which is weird. But anyway, so the balance of that too, like understanding that you can flex your time, like come in
Right.
later, stay later, things like that. And some of our areas are completely inflexible, and so I almost put flexibility there too, but I went with balance to kind of just cover all of it. So the first one that I did though was respect, and I think that just can be said for so many things because we've got. I think one of the things that we see the least amount is respect for your peers.
Mm-hmm.
Always between, like, people expect respect between their boss and them. But then when it comes to their peers, it's just like every man for himself. And I don't
Right. Yeah. It's like crabs in a
run
bucket.
over. Yeah. So it's just like, it's always such a mess. And there's one girl on my team right now that just really kind of gets under my skin with stuff like this. So, and interestingly enough, her balance is like way off kilter, like way too much one but still gives the perception that she's like a really fabulous and great employee. So it's just really frustrating. I also did loyalty, and not necessarily like loyalty to the company, but loyalty to like your personal brand. Like, who are you as a person, or who are you as an employee? Like, whatever you are, be okay with that. Like, own who you are. And if you're the person that talks the most in meetings, like, be the person that talks the most in meetings. That's who you are. Like, if you have something to say it, of course, within reason. But and then so yeah, loyalty to your personal brand is something that I'm working on, like with my mentor also, because I am pretty timid in some cases. And
would you consider yourself introverted or extroverted?
I'm definitely an extrovert, which is why we're working through that, because I'm so timid to really be like who I am, because I'm afraid people around me are just gonna be like, shut up, this girl.
Calm down.
All the time. Yeah. So we're kind of working through that and like honing those skills that I have versus like just being afraid to have them at all. So
okay.
Honesty, I think you said that too.
Yeah.
I think that one pretty much speaks for itself. There's so much that goes into that one too. I think a lot of these are really just words for entire philosophies. And the last one I have, I don't know that it's necessarily a value, but what I mean, I said adaptable, which you have to do in like life in general. You have to like know that there will be curveballs. You don't really have to catch them, but you have to attempt to get there and be there and change when it's appropriate and believe in the process.
That's kind of like basically the whole model of like situational leadership.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you have to be flexible. You can't just say, okay, this is how we do it, and we're going to do it like we've always done it.
Oh my gosh, what you just said, do it the way we've always done it. I hate that. I hate it. That's why this challenge, the process, I think it's like, I don't know, I think it's like week 5 or 6. I'm excited to see what that one is, because so many people don't. They just sit in complacency and don't.
Yeah, Boeing's like huge, like they're that they don't like that saying at all. Like it's all about continuously improving, thinking about better ways. Like they have a position, so it's kind of like the team lead position that I have, but it's called continuous. We call it a CI, and it's continuous improvement.
That's awesome.
And they get 10% more, and their job is to, obviously they still have a job that they have to do, but their collateral duty is to look at everything around them and say, how can we do this cheaper, faster, more efficient, better, safer, whatever. And it's actually a really cool job.
So which one of those things wins out in the end? Cheaper and efficient, or more efficient and better, don't always go hand in hand. So which one do they go for?
They try and I would say they try to meet in the middle.
Yeah,
balance. Definitely. Yeah, because sometimes the quicker thing that might not provide the quality that they need, or it might not be safe or whatever. They definitely are big on quality and safety more than anything. So if that has
in aerospace.
Yeah, if it takes a little longer, they'll definitely, they'll choose that, but they're really big on that.
Do you think they really practice what they preach with that?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. So the site director, who is in charge of all of Boeing Salt Lake, came and actually asked me what I think. Today, she just came on a Saturday.
Oh my.
No one comes in on a Saturday.
Right, no doubt.
And so she drove herself to our site, because there's 3 different sites in Salt Lake. And she came and asked everybody there what they feel they need to do their job safer.
That's awesome.
And she I'm talking, she probably makes $250,000 a year, I would say. She's like way up there. Like she's like almost, yeah. And then you don't usually see that in companies.
No.
But yeah.
That's so cool. We actually yesterday had tea time with Tammy. It was an online video conference. We didn't have to be on video, but she was. It's our new assistant vice president because ours just retired. And so it was over Skype, and it was a virtual whiteboard. So she would talk and give her whole spiel, and then she'd put up this virtual whiteboard where everybody that was on the call, there were like over 100 people, could type things and write things. And she would give a question like, what do you think we're doing well? And then people would say things, and she would kind of address them as they came up. And then it got really uncomfortable because I can't remember the question, but it was one of the questions was like, what
does it have to do with money?
Continue. What do you say? Can I have
your money? Does it have to do with money? Like, did someone be like, why aren't we being paid more?
Yes. It was, questions like that. And so my department, there's hundreds of us. And one of the departments is the training specialist. And so they train all the people in the call centers around, the whole country. And the training specialists were mad. They're really mad. Oh man,
they're the disgruntled employees.
They're really upset. Yeah, they're really upset. So I don't think the people knew that what they were typing was being tracked. Like if you hovered over it, you could see who wrote it, but you couldn't see it like face value. I think if they knew that, they wouldn't have said some of the things they said. But yeah, it was like, we shouldn't be getting paid less than the people we train, because sometimes they do. And I think I told you guys last week that like State Farm is downsizing big time.
Yeah.
Layoffs and stuff. So they definitely like address that. Like, should we be afraid for our jobs and all that? But she like took it in stride. She was awesome. She answered it really well. She did an awesome job. Like, she seemed to really care, I think, which was really cool. I actually am presenting with her and like 2 other people. Like, I'm the only one presenting to her and 2 other people on Tuesday. So I'm really about it. Yeah, but
is it like a one-on-one kind of a thing, or is it going to be like broadcast?
It'll just be her and I plus like her other stakeholders, but we're building like a $2 million program that our whole company will use. So it's really neat. I've been part of it for like 18 months, but I'm the only person in the group that speaks well. So I always get put in charge of presenting it.
That's going to get you far though.
Well, it did.
That's going to probably be my downfall.
No, I do appreciate that I can do that. And I know I talk a lot, but it gets me in good positions sometimes.
Sometimes not so much.
Yeah, sometimes. So.
Yeah, so that lady that I was telling you about, she actually, the first day or the first week that she was on, she's fairly new, because they do a rotation. Like Boeing's really big about like, what happens is like, if you're a site director of a site, then basically that means you're like on your way up to be an executive, right?
Oh, right on.
Up at Big Boeing. And so on her first week, we had just lost our other guy, and he went, up the chain. And then so she came and filled in. The first week she was there, she came by on a Saturday or something like that. And she went around to everybody, learned their names.
Wow.
She went around and she was like, she wrote down your name. She wrote down like a question, and then she asked you the question, and it was like, what can I do? Her question to me was like, what can I do to make your job better?
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. And like the other guy that was before her, he never even would talk to you. Like he was like, you know what I mean? Like he was kind of like a robot, And so it was really different. It was refreshing.
That is so cool. I know, like, I don't necessarily know that I want to get that far up the chain. I mean, that's like a lot of pressure and a lot of responsibility.
Right.
So the AVP we had right before Tammy was Laura, and I work at the corporate headquarters, so like I see them all the time. So it's not like as intimidating as it would be for most people.
Wow,
I work on the same floor, like within probably 300 feet of their offices. But I remember I found out years later, years into my career, I guess, that I went to high school with my AVP's kids. And I was like, oh, I just realized you are Aaron's mom and blah, blah, blah. And so that was fun. But right when I got pregnant, we had like announced that we were pregnant. I saw her in the hallway and she was like, did I hear you're pregnant? And like we
Oh,
had a whole
wow.
conversation, and she every time I'd see her in the hallways, like she'd ask how I was. She used like the common bathrooms, like not the executive bathrooms. So it was like just really cool. She was really
That's interesting.
approachable and
Is
available.
she like the CEO?
No, our CEO is, I would say, maybe 3 degrees higher than her.
Oh,
Three
okay.
or three or four. Because it's, oh man, I really stink at that. Yeah, I maybe 3. I'll have to check this week and then maybe I'll answer that next week. But
Okay.
yeah. Anyway, so I hope the new one is kind of like her, but she seems like she might be, so we'll
Do
see.
they do the same thing and rotate them out like quite frequently?
No,
2 years.
Laura retired. I think
Oh,
kind
okay.
of like in the wake of everything that's going on with the company, I think she was just not really into what's going on and saw an opportunity to kind of head out. So,
That's
other,
fortunate for her.
yeah. All right, maybe let's move on to another one.
So this one says to like just like don't share it out loud.
Which
I don't
one?
know. It's number. Oh wait, did I skip one?
Well, it doesn't say we have to answer all of them because there's 8. Um,
There's some kind of like bullets down here where it says respect. What did you do to acknowledge the work of one of your colleagues?
which number is that?
It's below 5. Those would be good to go
Okay,
over.
let's do that one.
So for me as a team lead, I have to kind of like schmooze a little bit every once in a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like to bring donuts for the team. I give out
Nice.
um, we have a thing at Boeing called Pride Points. They're called Boeing Pride Points. And what it is like if you see someone going the extra mile, you can put them in for Pride Points. And what it is so one Pride Point is $1, and so we usually give like $50 to $100, and then those
Wow.
and they can use that on the Boeing website to buy like T-shirts or whatever, or they can get like gift cards, like Amazon gift cards.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and you can like put people in for that, and that's just a nice way of like acknowledging everybody's hard work.
Yeah. So did you put someone in recently for some pride points?
Yeah, I did. It was another shift. It wasn't my team, so we have another shift that kind of helps us out and like sets us up really nicely. It's like a swing shift.
Mm,
So they get off at like 2 in the morning, and then we come in at like 4 in the morning.
yuck.
Yeah. And so they like really help us out a lot of the time. So I put them in.
That's so cool. That was really nice of you.
Yeah, yeah. And
We've
then I
got
put my
some kind
people
of a
in.
similar thing.
Do you guys have something like that?
Yeah, well, we've got this thing called Ovation. So anyone at any time can put in an ovation, and there's no monetary value or anything, but it's public. So it's like from X person to X person, and here's what they did. So like that's kind of cool because it's just
So it's
like
like
awesome for everyone to
accolades.
see. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then we've got 2 other things. We've got an on the spot award, which I think these other two can only be put in like by managers or supervisors or leadership anyway. And so an on the spot award is when like in a particular instance you have done something great. And I think it's like 50, 25 to $100, I think, on the spot. So you can get those. And then the big one is a special achievement award, and those are probably like $100 up to $5,000.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and so I didn't even know those existed until I got in this position, and I got 2 last year, which was really cool. I was
Like how much? Like
the first one was five. I'm sorry, the first one was $1,000, which was like amazing, and I just got one. for $250. So
Nice.
yeah,
Extra money is always good. Do they tax it?
yeah.
Like, does it go on your paycheck? Does
It
you
does
ever
go on
see?
the paycheck, but they do it pre-tax, so it was actually like 1,125.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, because ours show up on that too. Like, if we get $100 from somebody, then it will be taxed.
Yeah,
But it is pre-taxed, like yours.
yeah. So that was awesome. Unrelated, but I went on a girls' trip at the beginning of March, and so I felt like no guilt at all going on my trip because I paid for the whole thing, like with the award
We're
money
just
that I get.
throwing out dollar bills, like
Yeah,
no.
just like making it rain all over. So I hope to be able to do stuff like that, and that goes hand in hand with
I think
what I
people
said
appreciate it,
before.
you know.
Yeah, like it. I think it just makes such an impression, and at least for me, it makes me feel so motivated to keep moving forward, especially
Right.
when I'm just like really, really having a hard time.
All right.
Uh,
So next question: what is one mistake you made last week, and what did you learn from it?
have I
Oh,
mentioned I'm drowning at work?
yeah, you did.
I know I'm joking. I made like three mistakes last week. Uh, so actually, this goes exactly hand in hand with what did you do today to acknowledge the work of one of your colleagues? So I finished out a project, which rarely happens, but it was like the end, and I got to close it out and everything. And it was great. And I forgot to on the memo at the very bottom it says like CC, and then like here are all the people that were included in the project. I left two people off of it,
Oh
and
no.
it like went out to the masses that way, and I felt so bad. So I forwarded the memo to them and to their managers and said like they played such a pivotal role in this, like they were integral in the success of this, and thank you so much for all your work, and I'm really, really sorry for my oversight. So
Well, at least you acknowledged it. Some people would have just been like, eh.
I know I felt bad. How about you?
Um, so we have like a really small crew because we're like on a weird shift, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Um, and I think like the biggest thing that I get caught up in is like, and this might sound weird, but it's gossip. Gossip at
Yeah.
work is
Oh
the
yeah.
worst. And it's so easy to get caught up in. It's so easy to get caught up in rumor talk. And I just, I, it's something that I have to like constantly remind myself of because I don't know about you, but where I work, there's just constant gossip everywhere.
Yep. Big time right
And
now at our company.
yeah, because I mean, everybody's probably like what you were saying is worried about what's going on at the company, or they're worried about what other people are doing. And it's like something that I just have to like I try to avoid it at all costs because if someone's talking about somebody else, they're probably talking about you too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so that comes in with the whole like respect thing and honest thing, and that's one thing that I'm trying to work on.
Yeah. So did you get caught up in it this week then, I take it, if you're counting that as a
I
mistake?
always do, like, because I'm
Yeah.
the team lead. So if like someone has a problem with somebody else, I'm the first person they come to.
Oh yeah.
And it's easy to like get caught up on their side of the story when you hear it, but then when you hear the other person's side of the story, it's just like the other person was acting just as egregious as the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
almost like
that does kind of
preschool.
suck that you have to deal with that.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of what managers deal with. It's
Yeah.
like dealing with people and their problems.
Yeah. I have a very guilty conscience, and I got caught up in the gossip last week or the week before last. Real bad. Like really bad. And so I
So
actually
easy.
turned myself in
You
to a
did?
manager. I did. And I was like, this is weighing on me. Like I was involved in this conversation, and I don't want anyone to come to you and say like, hey, this girl is just like talking up a storm. So like please know that I don't plan on ever getting involved in that again because I felt so guilty. Like I couldn't be productive or anything. I was like, why did I do that?
Yeah,
So
I mean, it makes you feel guilty too. It doesn't make you feel like a good person when you
yeah.
get involved in that.
Yeah.
All right, so what have you done in the past week to improve that you have what have you done in the past week to improve so that you're better this week than the last? Sorry.
Whoa, that is a confusing sentence. What have you
Yeah,
done in the past week to improve so that you're better this
this
week
week than
than
last.
last? Okay. Well, I think learning from my mistakes is really my lesson right now because I just made stupid mistakes this week. So I'm training my replacement right now, and that doesn't really help the workload, but I don't know that I can necessarily think of anything other than just like learning from the mistakes that I made this week. What about you?
I've taken some we have online training courses. I've taken some of those. Like if you want to apply to be a manager, you have to have those courses. So I did some of those. That's really about it this week.
Yeah, I guess this class counts because I really just want to finally have a degree.
I know.
Finally.
I know.
What about the teamwork, the first one? What did you, not today maybe necessarily, but what have you
I
done
forgot.
recently to lend a hand to a colleague?
Let me see. So we have a guy that's hurt at my work. He's older. He's like two years away from retirement. And he's been doing aerospace, old aerospace where you have like a rivet gun and you're riveting like constant rivets, on planes and stuff.
Yeah.
And he's been in the business for like 30 years. And so his shoulder went out.
Yeah.
And he's like the hardest worker. Like he will not just stop. He will go. And he won't let people help him. So today I worked with him and helped him because he just got back from surgery.
Holy mackerel.
For like 3 months he was off, and so now he's back, but he can't really do everything that he's like Boeing's really strict about that. Like if you have a work related injury and you come back to work, they like set boundaries down and you're not supposed to do this, and this.
Yeah.
So you don't get hurt again. And plus it's like a liability issue.
Yeah.
So I helped him like do a lot of his work today, and yeah, I just helped him out.
That's so nice. So in your position, I know you have mentioned that you're in production. Are you like really like getting your hands dirty every day kind of thing?
Yeah, like they consider me a mechanic.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Where do you go?
So we do composite fabrication. So the Dreamliners,
Okay.
have you heard of the Dreamliner planes?
Yes, that's like the really big one, right?
Yeah, it's pretty big and it's got like the swooped wings that kind of look like a bird wing.
Oh, cool.
And it's completely made out of like fiberglass and carbon fiber.
Wow.
So we get raw material in these rolls and we make the wing structures for the.
Whoa, that's super cool.
Yeah, it's like a giant machine. It's like kind of like a 3D printer, and it just lays up this material over and over again into like different shapes. And then we bake it in a giant oven.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's interesting.
How long does it take to like make a wing? Or do you make them as a pair?
We make them as a pair, but they're separate. Like we make them separately.
Yeah.
So I'd say it's like 3 weeks to make one.
Wow. That's crazy.
But we're constantly, we're just one part. So like every day we get new parts in.
Yeah.
Coming through the line, and then they just kind of cycle through. But from start to finish, yeah, it's like a 3-week process.
So do you feel like an immense amount of pressure for everything to be really perfect?
So we have specs that we work to.
Yeah.
And they're really well defined. And we work in, so like hundreds, thousands of an inch is like kind of like thousandths of an inch, but you would think that's like a really small spec to meet, but at the end of the day, like there's wiggle room, and we know what that wiggle room is, like plus or minus like 1/4 inch. You know what I mean? So they have it all written out, and it's really easy to follow. And after a while, you kind of get into the groove of things, and you kind of know. But as long as
That's
you stick
crazy.
with the specs, then you're good. You're totally covered.
What an interesting job. That's so cool. I just
Yeah.
I just ride at a desk all day.
Well, you say your father-in-law is works in Tempe.
Yeah, and he works on the Apaches.
Do you know what he does? Does he do structure or like
I
engine
don't know
work? Or?
actually. I don't know. His name is Joe Mays. That's not going to help you, but if you, I don't know if you guys can like look up job titles or whatever.
He probably could, yeah.
And then another guy that I work with, his brother used to be in Tempe. He was there for a while, and he actually would fly the Apaches when they were done to wherever they were going.
Oh, really? Like a test
Yeah.
pilot kind of a thing?
Yeah, so it was really cool to know like these two people, completely unrelated, both kind of working on the same thing. So that's
Yeah, it's
crazy.
interesting. Yeah, Tempe is not too far from here, so we get a lot of people from there.
Yeah,
All
I've only
right.
ever flown into Salt Lake City for like a connection.
Oh, yeah. It's a hub.
Yeah. All right.
What is one change that you made last week that came from a customer suggestion?
Oh, well, that was the one that I just said, so I don't know if that counts. But the error that I made was one of the girls that I left off the email had actually gone to my mentor and was like, "Hey, what the heck?"
Oh, really?
And
So,
yeah, so she came to me and she was like, "Hey, can you check to make sure that you left her off of this?" And I was like, "Oh my god, I did." So I don't know if that really counts, but now like I've learned my lesson, double, triple check, like validate, validate, validate all the time.
yeah.
What about you?
Um, so we always so we're like a line, like it's a manufacturing line. It's a slow moving line because we we build big parts, but our customer is usually whoever's down the line from us. And a lot of the times, if we make a mistake, it makes more work for them.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
And so that happens quite a bit. And then they'll just they'll give us constructive feedback, and then we'll fix whatever it is that we did so it doesn't happen again. Um, and that happens quite often because,
Well, and the same can be said like you obviously like you're a mechanic or whatever it is that they call you, but that same thing can happen even if what you're doing in my world is just sitting at
right.
a
If
desk all
you
day.
send some paperwork to the next person that's supposed to look through your paperwork or whatever,
Yep.
and it's wrong, then they have more work to do.
Right. Yeah.
They're
So
big on that. They
obviously,
always call us they call the people down the line, they call them our customers. I don't know if they
yeah.
use that term. Do they? Okay.
Yeah, and that's funny because I had to actually define that a little bit this week because we run through a lot of like scenarios to try to make our future state better, and so the word customer gets thrown around a lot in workforce management, and so when you have to talk when you're talking about the customer, like you have to define who you're talking about because the customer can be like an actual State Farm policy holder. Customer can be the call center reps that we actually support. A customer in my world specifically is the schedulers who are the ones that support the people in the call center who support the people who are calling. So customer means a lot of things.
Yeah, we use that all the time. Yeah. Seems to be like a buzzword right now.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. What are the most recent promises you've made to someone else, big or small? A guarantee.
For your word on something.
Do what you will say you will do, or whatever that.
So a bad one, and not a work related one. When I told my husband I would put the dishes in the dishwasher for 2 straight days and he didn't do it.
And you didn't?
I didn't. I finally did this morning, but I didn't. So I felt bad about that.
My kids are walking around in their underwear right now.
How old are your kids?
I have a 6-year-old boy, and then he's the one walking in his underwear. To be specific, he will not wear anything but his underwear.
That's adorable.
A let's see. So let me see. I wrote it down here. Oh, okay. So we have this system in place. It's an electronic system. Um, and if something goes wrong, like our machine breaks down or whatever, or we have problems that make it hard for us to do our job, I'm supposed to put these electronic um, notifications in to whoever might be able to fix it.
Oh yeah, like
And
submit a ticket.
yeah, it's like a ticket. Yeah, exactly. We call it a SAT. I don't remember what it stands for. But I get like a list of those every day. And sometimes I think I need to start carrying like a notepad around because I get like I forget or whatever, and sometimes they fall through the cracks.
Yeah.
And yeah, I need to work on that.
So we have those too, but definitely I don't know about you specifically with this class. Things are slipping through the cracks that like I should do outside of this. So I got a planner.
Do you take that to work?
Yep, it's in my purse all the time. So it outlines everything. I mean, I don't know if you're serious, but it really does help.
Yeah, I need one. I need
It's
one
my whole day.
I get hit up by people all the time. What, bud? Hi. You want to say hi?
Hi.
Yeah, I get hit up all the time for like, oh, hey, this is not working right, so you need to put in a SAT or ticket, and then I'll like have a list of them at the end of the day, and I'll get most of them done, but there's some that I just can't. Like I'll get distracted really easy, and
yeah. Maybe you could use like the memo feature on your phone or something.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Or even like write yourself an email or something like that.
That's a good idea.
But I mean, organization is what I'm trying to work on anyway. Like, it's too hard to try to make myself remember everything with school and work and the try stuff and being a mom and a wife and all that.
Right. So, yeah.
Writing it down is helping me for sure. Maybe it'll help you too.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do it.
All right.
All right.
Let's
Number 7.
Think of an instance when you were with a group and you all reached consensus on something fairly easily. I could say that we all originally agreed that these meetings were a particular way.
Yeah, I told her that actually. I wrote her, I was like, we thought this was going to be horrible.
Yeah.
And I was like, this actually turned out to be a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
But I definitely think we all agreed on that. I don't know if Krista agrees that it's not as bad as we thought, but she's not here to ask, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I would say something else that like at work we've agreed on recently is some new processes. We saw, like, we all finally agreed that, or I guess talked about, but immediately agreed that some processes needed some updates. So we're all kind of rearing and ready to go for making things better. That's really what we do all the time. So
it's really hard
to do that.
Get everybody on the same page. Like we always have a hard time because we have a day shift, we have a second swing shift, and then we have our shift, which is kind of like the most out of the loop shift there is.
Sure.
And out of all 3, we all do things differently, and we all have different types of people on our teams and stuff. But it's really difficult to get everybody on the same page and have a standard work in place.
Absolutely. That is so tough. And we have people in other locations too. So like we don't have a physical product like you guys, but adding separate locations too just makes that part really, really hard.
Right.
Yeah. So the virtual thing is difficult. I mean, obviously with us being virtual, finding
in time zones that are all different
on a Saturday night is what we had to finally come to. But yeah, it's hard to do that, but it is nice when it comes easy, like for sure.
Right.
That means something is obviously like really needs a lot of help, or it's something like fun is usually, I think, when it comes the easiest. When
that's true.
Just like at their wits' end. Okay, now let's do something about it.
Well, I think we're good on our time.
Woo, we did it. And we talked about almost all of these.
All right. Well, I'll go ahead and put it up when last week it came up. As soon as I stopped it and I uploaded it, it said 37 minutes when I uploaded it.
Yeah, that's what you said.
And I was like, oh no. But I guess it just takes a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We'll see ya.
See you later. Have a good week.
Bye.
See ya.